This past week, we witnessed an annual event in the amusement industry, IAPPA. For those of you who do not know what IAPPA is, it's an amusement conference that takes place in Orlando. This is an event where industry professionals can meet and discuss their accomplishments, what they have made, and their plans for the future. I wish I could say it's also a place where YouTubers won't go and start drama, but that still happened anyways. Anyways, this year has been pretty eventful. There have been amazing concept reveals and a lot of cool train reveals. And like we did last year, we will cover everything that happened at IAPPA 2023. I'm gonna go day by day throughout the entire convention. So first off is Monday. The biggest news coming out of Monday is that the Avatar experience rumored to be going to the Disneyland Resort will be going to California Adventure. This project was already confirmed by Bob Iger in one of their prior earnings calls, but at IAPPA they announced that this will be coming to DCA specifically. We still don't know what this exact experience will look like, but Mr. Iger said that it would be similar to Pandora and just as amazing. Now to me, that's a big promise. You have to build Flight of Passage to make it just as amazing. Otherwise, I will not be satisfied. The Avatar experience that went to Disneyland Shanghai looks incredibly mid. Like, I want to ride, not some exhibit. Anyways, enough entitled enthusiast noises. I really hope that they bring Flight of Passage to DCA because it is one of my favorite Disney rides ever, even though they probably won't. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful. There was one flat ride revealed, but I won't go into it too much because there are a lot more interesting topics to cover. The next day of the week is Tuesday, and here is where all the bombshells come hitting in. There were a lot of train reveals on Tuesday, but I'm not going to talk too much about them because I will save that for the end of the video. However, I will mention some train reveals if it adds some interesting information, such as Top Thrill 2. The trains for Top Thrill 2 got revealed and the reactions are very mixed. I love them to death and I think they are amazing looking trains. Zamperla said that the trains that they made are the best piece of technology they have made as a company and spent time explaining a lot of their design decisions. It looks super good and reinforces my idea that Top Thrill 2 will be better than everyone says it is. The other huge train reveal that we have to talk about is Falcon's flight. Despite looking kick-ass with the glowing eyes and the comically large windshield, that probably is necessary, we also got a video of the layout. Now this layout is very close to the animations that have already been posted. I have to applaud Qiddiya for keeping their ideas consistent. I think the only thing that is different is the Immelman, but you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Every day, this coaster seems closer and closer to becoming to fruition, but there are still so many doubters out there. At the end of the day, oil money is good money, and this isn't what the Saudis are using it for, so I think it will be built. I just think it's so funny that on the first Camelback, it makes a 200-foot coaster below it look like a family coaster. Falcon's flight is absolutely massive, and it's hard to wrap my head around that fact. The other big information that came out is Saudi Entertainment Ventures and SNS revealed their Axis coaster. We already knew this was coming, but we got a full train reveal and everything. This is a super small coaster, like the size of a family coaster. This is meant to fit into small family entertainment centers, and it does 2 laps around the track. I'm honestly not too hyped about this, but I know there are great things on the horizon for this model, and this is definitely not the peak of its potential. The last piece of huge information is an announcement of a brand new park. Libertyland USA is coming to South Dakota in 2026. This is part of an entertainment district and will include both a theme park and a water park. The theme park is divided into many different lands and is oddly reminiscent of American Heartland. And like American Heartland, this is a pretty rural location near Mount Rushmore. This is not on the scale of the American Heartland though, but it does look to have some pretty cool rides. There's an unknown blue wooden coaster that kind of looks like a PTC coaster, though we know PTC doesn't make coasters anymore. There also looks to be an RMC Wild Moose, but it is really hard to tell in the 2 seconds that it's in the 3D video for. Besides some cool flat rides and cool water rides, there's a black outline of a coaster that frankly we have no idea what it is. It kind of looks like an Intamin Blitz, but maybe that's just me being too hopeful. This looks like a really solid park and a downscale version of American Heartland. Still looks really cool though. The more minor things that happened on Tuesday are Hafima Water Rides and RP Rides announced a partnership, Sally Dark Ride shut off an animatronic and a cart for their new SpongeBob attraction, and Intamin announced a new hubless Ferris wheel that can spin in any shape you want it to. Also, Kennywood announced a new set of bumper cars for their retheme to Potato Patch bumper cars. Now, Wednesday was less eventful than Tuesday, but that's pretty much a given. There's still some really cool things to talk about though. I'm gonna rapid fire through Wednesday's events because, well, it's less interesting than other points in this video. The day started off with Sally Dark Rides announcing that they are building another SpongeBob Dark Ride at Land of Legends in Turkey. This is the same Dark Ride that got an animatronic reveal yesterday. ProSlide and SeaWorld are building 4 Playhouse structures across SeaWorld water parks, and yes, Waterworld announced a massive water park expansion plan. Other interesting information is that Whitewater West unveiled a raft slide called Wall Runner. It looks pretty cool because it has massive bank turns that the rafts fly through. Parque Aquadidado de Amarante, I'm sure I butchered that name, is also getting water slides from Wygand. Triotech is building stand-up flying theater, which is really strange. I love flying theaters, but it's hard to imagine how a stand-up flying theater would go. From the concept art, it looks really goofy and it looks like you're a mall cop going around on a Segway, but to each their own, I guess. The last thing is that Whitewater West is building a water structure and a slide at Nagashima Spa Land in 2024. So that's Wednesday. It was a relatively quiet day for roller coasters and had a lot of action in water park land. On to Thursday. Pretty much any day besides Tuesday is not going to be that interesting, so like Wednesday, we will sift through events relatively fast. In fact, there is so little to talk about that we will combine news from Thursday and Friday for this one segment. For one, Brojang Technologies announced a whole bunch of interesting stuff, including a 10K flying theater film about Africa and a new flying theater coming to Hong Kong. German showman Harvey Wegner announced a fully solar-powered Ferris wheel, which is interesting, I guess. Extreme Engineering displayed a 2-seater for their cloud coaster, which honestly looks like a really terrible restraint, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. One thing that I forgot to mention was that SNS showed off a new coaster model that is oddly resemblant of the Maurer spike coaster, like near identical. I really don't want to know what SNS was trying to do with this. Obviously a coaster model does not get made overnight, but 7 years seems like a long time to know that someone else beat you to an idea. I don't really have much else to say about this, but it's interesting to say the least. The last small bit of news is Martin & Velnick showcases a thrill wheel, which is a flat ride inside of a Ferris wheel, and it looks pretty cool, I guess. Now that we got all the news out of the event away, let's talk about train reveals, because there's a whole lot to them. To make this easier for myself, we are going to jump straight into the reveals, and I'm just going to go from what I think is the worst train design to the best. And please don't be offended by these rankings. You don't have to agree with them because looks are like the most subjective subject on the planet, and also I will be covering dark ride cars and water rides because why not? So starting off our list of 11 cars, we have Zuma Fluma. This is the log flume that is coming to Six Flags Qiddiya. I'm honestly not a big fan of the whole straw theme. Also, this was advertised as being able to seat 8 passengers. That idea must have flown out the window because it looks like it can seat like 4. Next up is Good Gravy. This is a running meme in the coaster community because the theme is so wacky. Now, a lot of you may really like these trains, but I just don't like them at all. The way they are shaped in a teacup just throws me off. They are not inherently bad, I just don't like them. Next up is Fire in the Hole. I don't really like these trains for one reason. It's just way too basic. There's nothing really fun happening on them. I just want a little bit of spice. The restraints do look comfortable, but they also don't look very accommodating, so we will see how that goes. Next up is Colossus. This is the GCI hybrid that is going to Six Flags Qiddiya. I really like the look of these trains. These are your typical Infinity Flyers, and the colors look really nice. I especially like the white side panels that are on each side of the train. Next up is Bobcat. I'm not a huge fan of these overly graphic lead cars. I wasn't a huge fan of Wildcats Revenge's lead car, and I'm not a huge fan of Bobcats either. Nevertheless, it does look pretty cool, and I think it will look sick when it's racing around the track. Penguin Trek is up next, and I feel like this is the most basic design ever. I mean, B&M is not known for theming their coasters well, so it makes sense, but the design is just super basic. It's clean, I just wish there was a little bit more happening. Hot Wheels Twin Mill Racer throws me off for a couple of reasons. It might just be how bulky the car look is, but it just makes me cringe. I do love the headlights or the exhaust. I'm not too sure what it is. Whatever is on top of the car, it looks sick. Also, the fake wheels are pretty cool. Next up is Comet, and this is one of the most basic trains that have been revealed at all of IAPPA, yet I love it so much. This is just one train going on Comet at Hershey Park, but for some reason the blue and the gold mesh well, and I just love it. The Transformers Axis Coaster is up next, and I feel like this is a pretty lackluster design for the first Axis Coaster. I think any Axis Coaster train will look cool because of all the moving parts, and Transformers does look very cool, but I'm just not a huge fan of the side panels. I think there could have been other ways to do it. Next up is Top Thrill 2, and I actually really like this train design. The ridiculously long nose makes it look like an F1 car, and the restraints look to be pretty comfortable. I love the color scheme and how the logo of Top Thrill 2 is slapped right on the front of it, and of course, in first place is Falcon's flight. I honestly have no idea what else you expected. This train is absolutely sick. The glowing lights, the color palettes, the fact that it needs a windshield, all of it, it's really cool. The restraints are the comfortable Intamin over the shoulder lap bars, it's just perfect all around. I even love the purple underglow. I just love everything about it. Every day, more and more information comes out about this coaster, and I am more and more blown away. So that's how I would rank all the train reveals, and that's everything that IAPPA had to offer. It sure was a very interesting year with all the stuff happening in Qiddiya, plus Top Thrill 2. And of course, you have the smaller part of the industry like water parks and FECs making big moves as well. It's really cool to see. There was a bunch of stuff that happened, and I tried my best to cover it in the short amount of time we have. Let me know down in the comments if I forgot anything, because I'm sure I did. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, join the Discord, link in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.